Join me as my friend Eric Kuzmuk discusses what it's like to be on stage again. What are your thoughts about getting back into being on the stage again?
Well, it's kind of a big deal. I mean, we've been out of the loop or off the boards for what, more than 18 months at this point. I mean, it's COVID has shut down the theaters and prevented us from socializing, and torpor, a certain amount of torpor has set in, even though I've been reading plays and doing work, but readings are very different than, as you probably know and everybody knows, than actual memorized plays.
It lacks a sense of emotional commitment, I have to say.
It does. And then the immediacy of actually talking to someone in real time in front of you is so much more a part of the theater. So now as we venture into the world, I mean, for me, the anxiety is it's like I already today scheduled overlapping meetings by mistake because I just lose track of what day it is. So yesterday I got asked if I wanted to have a meeting with a production company that is going to do Holiday in Heaven once again, and the actress wants me to get together with the musical director so that we can maybe schedule some early rehearsals.
Live rehearsals?
Live rehearsals.
Live rehearsals.
Yeah.
So let me just backtrack. What happened to you when things went virtual?
What happened?
Yeah, I mean, what was your 18 months? What was your theatrical experience over the last 18 months?
Well, almost immediately, the Break-A-Leg group that on their literary community started doing virtual meetings, Zoom meetings, and we would read plays for consideration to each other. And then along the way, we discovered that we would actually tap into the authors of the playwrights and have them listen in to our readings, and we actually rehearsed those as readings, but they were rehearsed readings for the authors, and that proved to be very, it was like 5-finger exercises. It just kind of keep you in the game, and imagining characters and doing characterization basically vocally, but while reading a script. Some of them were very good, some of them were not so good. I mean, and of course, one of them I botched up because I'm sitting in my kitchen and I forgot that it was sunset. And all of a sudden I got all these stripes over because the sun is shining in the window through the slats of the Venetian blind. And it's like totally wrong. It just was. But anyway, it was supposed to be an office setting, so maybe it wasn't so wrong. But it's just amazing when you start thinking about the settings. And then of course we did the Episcopal Actors Guild play by Mervyn Kaufman, and we ended up doing that play twice, but that wasn't until August, and that was practically memorized, but with a virtual background, but we did it.
Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on the actor to do so much more than just act.
It is something to really adapt to, because you'll be looking to a character who's a virtual character, and you got to know left screen, right screen, but you're looking to the left, but the character is not there, and you're talking to them. It's the character. What the audience is seeing is you talking to the character who's beside you, as you are now on the screen. But you're not looking at a character, and you're not getting the lips moving. You're not getting that stimulus in terms of how to know your cue. And then there's also a certain latency, and it can really throw you off. Very interesting. But it was a way of keeping in shape, in a way, while on furlough.
I mean, you had no choice. You had no choice. That's the thing. It's if you have no choice, you do what the best choice is.
Exactly right.
When I did a play, and I did a number of plays, one were readings, one we memorized, and we the director set us up so we were looking in the right way, and I had actually I put pieces of tape to make a face on the wall so I would look at something. And then we didn't use the Zoom recording. We took the Zoom recording and then we cut the individual people so that they were in the right place, because the Zoom people will put you any which way on the recording. You don't know where it's going to come out,
where they're going to be. Yeah.
So you go, you look this way, you look that way, and then when you get it back, because sometimes I had to like flip it. I had to move it over, and that was it adds a whole new layer of because basically you're dealing with the Zoom as some kind of other member of the party. It's like having another functionary device in there that just sort of spits this out and says, okay, you handle whatever you want.
It can be very disorienting, or you really have to make special accommodations as an actor to figure it out, and it does distract, and but that's what we do. We work through it, and we find ways to essentially block within the little screen.
You sort of have to forget it's theater. It's Zoom theater. And if you embrace the challenges of putting it together, it can be kind of it's its own little sort of problem-solving event.
Yeah.
So you just have to not get frustrated with that as the construct.
And you, as an author, you wrote Zoom Caesar, which it worked out perfectly because it was, the theory was, these are a bunch of senators in Rome who had never Zoomed before, and so they're experiencing the problems of Zoom. And that your mic's not on, all of that craziness that comes in, and then you've got to find the place to turn your camera on, or when you're coming on, you may be away from a scene, but you've got to remember to put your camera on so that you're on. You enter by turning your camera on. So we've dealt with all that. But now the whole...
Now, let me just ask you one more question before we get into the present.
Sure.
Did you feel like you learned anything as a result of Zooming theater? Because it does put you into an artificial situation.
Yeah.
And it highlights certain things that you would otherwise not... like for example, blocking and positioning. I don't think I learned anything about that, but I had to deal with it, and I'm still trying to figure out what did I learn. I guess right now it's still, I learned what I missed. I learned what was important to be live.
Yeah,
and that's
I did.
Now that's a question I'm going to have to ponder as we come back. Is what did I learn anything from this virtual experience of theater?
I think what it did emphasize for me, and I just did a memorized Zoom thing as you had done, but is that actually hearing what the other actor is saying to you, it becomes, now I don't want to say it's more important, it becomes essential. And it should be essential all the time, but in a way, I know that the need for it is enormous. You need to hear what the other actor is saying, even in live theater, but now you recognize it even more when you're Zooming. You've got to know who's talking to you, and you've got to really hear the cue line that you're responding to. Mm-hmm. And that is a lesson that you're reacting to what somebody's saying. You need to hear that. Even in live theater, to do it well, it is essential that you hear what's been said to you and that you're actually processing it and then responding, rather than just parroting your memorized lines. And that I certainly learned. The last piece that I just accomplished this past weekend was Oh God, Who's Next? And I played St. Peter, but I realized that I had to hear the cue lines because a lot of them were overlapping. So I was responding to one person while another person was speaking to somebody else. So I had to hear that cue. And I learned one thing too within the technology. You can set it so that the last speaker is highlighted on the screen. And that way, at least you know who you're talking to.
Mhm.